now for all things Gators, all things orange and blue. Frangie, Dan Hicken. What's up, Hick?
Doing great, Frank. Appreciate it. Thank you to Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, se-ortho.com, for all your orthopedic needs. I was so close to winning my stake bet with Bubba, my friend Bubba. Bowl game was on the line. I was going to knock off a top 10 team on the road. I mean, I just going to exercise a lot of demons, and I really love how they fought, and I dared to let myself start to believe on 4th and 17, only to get a knife in my heart. And disappointing loss, to say the least. A lot of things to unpack from that game, but, it is what it is at this point. I could tell you, from the glass half full, Frank, if we make a 39-yard or 44-yard field goal, whatever it was, against Arkansas, and we stop 4th and 17, right. Gators are 7-4. They're going into Tallahassee, or getting ready to play the Tallahassees with a feel good, trying to get 8 wins, already bowl eligible. And life is generally good around Gatorland. Instead, they're 5-6 and still trying to snap a losing streak.
I said the same thing, Dan. I said this: there are 2 plays from 7-4, a missed field goal and 4th and 17. So let me tell you what I've taken out of this. I'm going to give you a big picture here, okay?
Oh, I like that. Big picture. I'm good. I've
thought about the stat that rattled me.
Yeah.
Really rattled me was the Gators have played 6 times in Columbia, Missouri, with 5 different coaches. Now, one was an interim, but they've run out of the tunnel with 5 different coaches and 6 trips to that place. We got to stop firing coaches. You know what? I don't know if Billy Napier's going to be good, Dan. I think he might be, but I don't. There's still way too much sideline confusion and timeouts, and there's so much stuff that they mess up. It's amazing how much stuff they mess up, and he's got to get better at it. But I'll tell you this: he fixed the offense. Like it or not, he fixed the offense. Other than Georgia, when they scored 20 points, which is more than everybody else gets against Georgia, they've been north of 30 every game in the last 6. He turned Graham Merchant from a guy who was 36 touchdowns and 24 picks to 20-3. He had Max Brown ready to play. I didn't know who Max Brown was. I don't know where he's from. I don't know where he went to high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody recruited him. But Danny had him ready to play and almost won the game. He's got the 3rd or 4th ranked recruiting class coming in. The worst thing he needs is 3. I hope he wins enough games. He's not getting fired now.
Right.
I hope he wins enough games in year 3 to get to year 4. And I'll bet you he'll build that program. I may be way off the mark here. They just still. I was encouraged the other day. I know people say they don't want moral victories. Well, sometimes you do want a moral victory,
Yeah.
I'm encouraged with where I think they might be headed. Call me crazy. Shout me down if you want. But I really am. I hope he gets his 4 years, and I think it's going to be a darn good roster when he does. I really do.
I like where you're coming from. Listen, I'm not going to gloss over. There's a lot of warts on this program that have to be noticed and fixed. But he has done a lot of good things, and it's just the losing just gets to you, man. I mean, I got Missouri kids dancing on my kids. I can't. You got to, you go see your boy Drinkwitz at SEC Media Days, and you give him a swift kick in the rear end from yours truly. All right. Nonsense. But anyway, just Bitterman. We could change the narrative by handling them like we should. So I do. I was talking to our friend Tony Baselli the other day at the Sunday game, right? And he had a great point. And I think he would agree with this too. We were talking about, he was like, Hick, the great teams in college football in the last 15 years, because he's an SC guy and he's obviously full of disappointment with college football as well. He says the great teams in college football the last 15 years, the Alabamas and now the Georgias and the Ohio States and the Michigans of late. I mean, just the ones that Clemson, what do they have one thing, they all win in the trenches, man. They all win up front. They got the dudes up front. And they all run different variations. They can run the football. They can stop the run. They don't necessarily get the ball, hike it. I think that's what Napier ultimately is trying to build and wants to do. Now, I will say this. He needs to do better on the recruiting front in that. He doesn't have the 5-star offensive lineman. He's only got 1 D lineman who's a 5-star, but only 1. I mean, and he's got some young guys there, and they're going to get better. But I think that's his plan, and that would go towards your long-term success of the program, I think.
I'll tell you what, let me comment. First of all, I talked to Tony in the booth. He talked about the same stuff with me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard you talk, but I didn't relate it to Florida until I heard you talk about it on your radio show yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then on my show in the afternoon, I made the point and credited you talking to Tony about it. That's right. The bottom line is Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, they're tough and physical. You know what they do? They have 300-pound linemen who go play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? And they win with big, tough, physical linemen and big, fast linebackers who go play in the NFL. And I really do believe he's going to recruit that. I don't keep up with who's committed and who's not.
Sure.
You're the big reporter for recruiting. But I do think that's how he was under Saban all those years. He got real excited about Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks. They didn't turn out to be great. They were okay because he knows they're big and physical. He brought Cameron Waits with him from Louisiana. Hadn't great yet, but he's big and physical. Osiris Torrance he brought last year, who was really good and big and physical. I think he knows that, Dan. What you said, he's an old school guy that's trying to build it the old school way. They're not going to be fancy. They're not going to have fancy play with tempo. They're just not going to be that. But he's trying to build it that way. And again, the offense, he's starting to do that. He's for 2 years now, he's had a really good running game. Now, part of that is he's got 2 good backs. But I think there's something there. I just, and look, I don't know if he's going to be a great coach.
Right.
We have to quit firing our guys, Dan.
Yeah.
We have to quit.
And we all agree they're not doing that, right? But you're saying give them next year too.
Yes, I give him.
Because I think we're both concerned that if they start 1-4 next year,
right.
You know.
Because all the people on social, so there's still people that are going to hear us say this.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll say it again. They're 2 plays from 7-4.
Yeah.
They just went and played the number 9. Think about this.
Yeah.
They just went and played the number 9 team in the country.
Yeah.
They didn't have their best offensive lineman in Glocken. They didn't have their second best offensive lineman, Austin Barber. They didn't have either inside linebacker, Shamar James or Scooby. They're playing they didn't have Caleb Douglas, who's one of their better receivers. Yeah. They didn't have all this. They lost their the only quarterback who's played in the third quarter. They brought some quarterback nobody's heard of into the fourth quarter. And they were 1 play from beating the number 9 team in the nation, and they've got the number 4 recruiting class coming in. And there's still some people who want to fire the guy. That's what astounds me. You can't. You got to stay the course.
And they played hard, man. And they're down 9 with easy to give up. You're down 9. You got Max in there, and it doesn't look good. And he rallies them back. And I mean, you can quibble. There's a lot, obviously everybody's quibbling about every little thing. ETN can't run out of. I get it. And, maybe they should have kept their foot on the gas. But if he throws a pick down there, and then you stop him 3 times. You got him backed up. 4th and 17 is the killer. But I will say this I saw this from Edgar Thompson, who covers the Gators down in Orlando. And he posted this. And this is not surprising, but alarming. Okay. 4 teams nationally allow more yards per play. Only 4, right? 3 more 30-yard pass plays. Only 3 more teams have allowed. 1 team with fewer takeaways. They're dead last in the SEC in sacks with 19, Frank, and none with more 40-yard pass plays allowed. I mean, those are just disgraceful numbers that sit and eat at your craw. And that's why you're not surprised when they hit a 4th and 17. But man, oh man, just drop back linebackers. I mean, oh gosh, it was just a tough one. That was a gut punch game. It was a gut punch game.
No question. But let me address the numbers you just said. I'm a big believer in this.
Yeah.
And the one mistake he's made a bunch of mistakes, but the glaring mistake he's made, and I'll bet he would do differently if he had it over again, is whether they fit the culture or not. I would have hung on to some more old players. The Tyron Hopper should still be there. Xavier Henderson should still be there. There's the safety who's playing, McMillan, who's playing well at pitch, should still be there. What's happened is
Chatfield at Oregon State, another guy.
Correct. What happened is if you didn't fit kind of what he's trying to do, the pass rusher at Virginia Tech.
Ryland Powell. Yeah.
So what I think happens is he wants everyone to fit, everyone on the same page. So the old guys leave. You're playing a bunch of young guys. I can tell you this. An 18 and 19-year-old defensive player isn't the same as a 23-year-old. And so what's happened is people want to point to coaching. Listen, I've heard from Gator fan, and I'm one of them, by the way, but I've heard from Gator fan that Randy Sanders was no good, and Todd Grantham was no good, and Patrick Toney was no good, and Austin Armstrong's now no good. It's not always the coach. Fans want to say it's the coach, and let's fire the coach, fire the coordinator. The truth is they got no dudes. How about this, Stan? We see NFL games every week, right? I'm blessed. I get to see the NFL teams all the time because I call the games. How many impact players are there in the NFL, defensive players from Florida? There's Alex Anzalone's pretty good. He played 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I think Keanu Neal and Mike Marcus
still in. Yeah.
They were 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Grenard starts. He's just a guy, but he starts.
Yeah.
Then Florida doesn't produce. Let me tell you what. You want me to start running off Georgia and Alabama defensive players in the league? We don't have enough time on the podcast, bro.
Yeah.
So at some point, you got to get dudes.
That's fair.
Defense is dudes, man. Defense isn't did you blitz. Defense isn't did you drop the right amount. You know why that play didn't work? And I don't want to pick on one guy because he did the best he could. But Manny Nunnery is probably at Florida because he couldn't make the too deep at Houston. Right?
Yeah.
And he's forced into action because Scoopy's not there and Shamar's not there and this guy's not there. And he did the best he could. He made a great play earlier in that drive to knock the ball away. He probably should have got a little more depth on the play that they hit. And he didn't, but he's trying the best he can. They need to get players. It's not Austin Armstrong isn't. I don't know if he's any good, but he's not this terrible coordinator that made this dumb decision. They don't need players over on defense. That's why these last 5 coordinators, everybody wants them fired. At some point, you got to get players. I think Billy Napier will do that. I believe that in all my heart. I really do.
Well, man, and hopefully he does. Look, now we're on to Florida State. We got a chance. Nothing to lose game. Nothing to lose. You got night under the lights in the swamp. Unfortunate injuries. Oh, we should say, too, a shout out to Graham Mertz. You know, you proved most of us wrong. Yeah. Tip of the cap. And if you got to end your season, hell of a play to end your season on, my man. I mean, God bless you. What you know, you did 15 proud. I'll say that, and that's about the highest compliment I can give you. What a great year. I hope he comes back for one more. I think he might. I'm not sure. I don't think he has much of an NFL future, but he's proved me wrong before, so who knows? But yeah, just a really great kid by all accounts, great leader by all accounts, really good football player. Well done, Graham Mertz. Well done.
100%. I don't need to repeat it because you said it all perfectly. But what a good Gator he turned out to be.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
For all the people thought he wouldn't be good. He was terrific. I think he does come back. And listen, if there's anything to downtown Max Brown, and I don't know if there is or not, but he looked like he knew what he was doing. He made 4 plays in that game.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fourth down throw to Khalil Jackson had to be perfect.
Yeah.
The throw up the left side that Khalil went up and got was a really good throw.
Yeah.
The running play, Dan, where Jesse Palmer made the point on the broadcast, he was right. Once he got loose, the 28-yard play, whatever it was, the presence of mind to cover the ball up.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy had him ready to play. I have no idea how he'll play against FSU, is backup versus backup. But let me say this. If let's say he plays okay in the game, win or lose, let's say Max Brown looks like he belongs, because he looked like he belonged for a quarter and a half. He really did.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's say he looks like he belongs. Mertz comes back, Lagway comes in. You suddenly have a pretty good quarterback room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's an example of slowly but surely, you know, you're going to build this thing. So I listen. I don't like going 5. I think they're going to lose FSU. I'll be honest, even with the backup. I think Rodemaker's played more than Brown has.
Well, they can't stop Trey Benson. I mean, he's going to have a field day. They're probably going to hand him the ball 40 times. I mean, I would. Yeah.
So they're probably going to be 5. Let me make another point, too. I'm on a roll on this stuff.
Okay.
If they lose, he's going to be 11-14 in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
11-14, 25 opponents. Well, for what it's worth, of the 25 opponents, the way it's going to play out this year, 16 will have gone to bowl games of the 25.
That they lost. Okay. Oh, the 25 games. Okay, yeah.
Of the 25 opponents, win or lose, of the 25 opponents he's played, 16 going to bowl games. Dan, 14 were ranked at the time Florida played them. Do you realize that?
No.
14 of the 25 opponents that Billy Napier will have faced as the Florida head coach were ranked at the time Florida played them. Okay. And here's the mind-boggling stat. 10, assuming Missouri beats Arkansas, which they're going to do.
Right.
10 of the 25 opponents Billy Napier will have played, 40% are going to have 10-win season. 10 wins. 40% of the opponents are double-digit win teams.
Wow.
So yeah, there were 2 bad losses. Vanderbilt last year and Arkansas this year.
Yep.
But the other losses were really good teams.
But I got news for you about that, Frank, because next year at this time, you're going to be saying, of the 37 opponents,
I know.
The numbers are going to be just, that's what you got to deal with in Florida, man. I'm sorry. But
good point.
That's the way it is. Here, I'll say this about Billy Napier, and I like everything you're saying, and I think we're all rooting for him, right? Because everybody you talk to, everybody who knows him loves him.
Right.
Former players, current players, they're playing hard. They haven't quit. Right. But I'll say this: if he does succeed at Florida, he is going against the norm. Generally speaking, college football coaches, year 2, you see. So if he does make it, he's doing it against all odds. And you know what? I hope he does. But Graham Mertz was against all odds. Billy believed in him. He proved us wrong. Hopefully we're wrong about Billy Napier too, or at least I am. I'll speak for myself.
Quickly this week, what are the chances this week in your mind?
6.5 in Vegas surprises me. I think you're discounting how many other good football players Florida State has, and also our defense is just not.
I agree.
Now, can we just cheat 10 guys up and take away the run? Well, if we do, Rodemaker's going to throw jump balls to the 2 big receivers that they have. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to score. It's going to be tough. I don't think we win the game, but I have hope, and I've been wrong most of the year, so that's good for you guys.
I'm with you. I think what you said is right. There's too many other dudes. FSU has too much to play for. And Florida really is handicapped defensively. Again, whether you want to blame the coordinator, they're helpless defensively. Look, you and I, let's be honest. 4th and 17. We feared they were going to complete it. I can say 4th and 17. I'm confident. Nobody was confident. But 4th and 17. Right. We knew at 4th and 17 there's a pretty good chance, just because the way the season's gone, they were going to hit the play and go, and the guy was going to kick the field goal, and that's what happened. So I think FSU is going to beat them, and they won't go to a bowl. So they got to hold let me ask you, because you follow closer than I do. Mm-hmm. Are they holding the recruiting class together? Is the word? The word is, for the most part, they lost a couple.
We took 3 or 4 hits, and hopefully that's it. And hopefully you could add a couple more. We're certainly trying to poach some guys, and I know that everybody's going to dive into the Texas A&M situation. I still stand by what I said last week about the portal. I think he's got to go a little extra in the portal this year. I think he's got to go hard in the portal. I think he's got to find the guys that are going to help. I think by experience, the defense will be better next year. But yeah, he's got to. I still think you have to add some guys. I think you got to get back in the. You got to listen. The bottom line is you play Georgia and Bama. You got to beat Georgia and Bama. And they go 1-2 every damn year. So you got to go get them in recruiting, man. You got to.
Well, next year, he's got to. Here's why the portal's so important. He's got to win enough games in year 3 to get to year 4.
Yeah.
If he gets to year 4,
and then you got Lagway, and by the way, when you see that running element, and that's the one thing Graham Mertz really couldn't provide. He tried, you add that running element to a college quarterback, it changes things. It opens things up. Their offense is fine though. They, like you said, 35, 31, whatever. They score points. So
But I think if they get a handful of portal guys, And the other thing is they need them all, because they need Cam Jackson and Banks and Mertz. They need them all to come back.
There's going to be attrition. We know that happens no matter what.
But you don't want good attrition. You're losing Princely. You're losing Pearsall. I hope Montrell Johnson, I guess, will come out. I hope everybody else of significance comes back. That's important. So we'll see.
I'm tired of losing, Frangie. I'm tired of it.
All right. Hey, before
you me down.
How about hoop? Can I talk hoops with you or no?
Hoops was a nice little pick me up on Friday. That's well done. You got a quick hoop scoop, and I'll just say this: they're very good at rebounding, from what I understand.
Yes, they are. You've warned me against drinking the Kool-Aid too early.
I know.
But let me just say this: starting to sip. Can I sip?
You can sip.
I'm taking a little bit of a sip because
I don't think FSU is very good this year.
I don't either.
They got Pitt on Wednesday so let's see what they do against Pitt.
But Dan, it was 36-9 at one point in that game. Okay,
I like that.
It was 36-9. I haven't had a lot of 36-9, even though it was 52-22 at the half, which was even bigger. But 36-9 felt bigger.
Oh, it sounds good. It sounds good in basketball.
It's 36-9. So we'll watch them against Pitt on Wednesday, and we do this on Tuesday for people that don't know. But there may be something there. It's early, but we need it. No, we deserve it,
Yes,
Dan. We
do.
We do.
We do. So,
all right, that's all things Gators, all things orange and blue. Dan Hicken, Frank Frangie.
And thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, se-ortho.com. All your orthopedic needs in Jacksonville, Florida. Frank, next week we'll be talking about a bowl-bound Gator team, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be great. See you.
See you, bud.